Hi, and welcome to this new episode. This episode will give you 5 tips on how to take care of your voice when you're having a cold or when you're being sick. Here we go. Hi there, welcome back. In this episode, you're going to have 5 ways or 5 tips that will help you of taking care of your voice when being sick or when you have a cold. We've all been there, and this episode is designed to help you with that. So before we dive into it, I do want to go over some of the mistakes that many beginner singers make, and maybe that's you as well. Once you notice that you're making these mistakes, you can do something about it. The first one is many beginner singers don't notice the boundaries of their voices, and that can cause hoarseness. Let me explain. We have very little pain receptors on our voice, and so oftentimes we tend to cross that boundary between my voice can handle it and then, oh no, I'm hoarse and now I can't sing anymore. So it's very hard to feel where that boundary is, and beginner singers are not aware of where that boundary is at all, and they just cross it really easily, which ends up with a lot of hoarseness, maybe even throat pain. We don't want to get there, right? Another mistake that beginner singers oftentimes make is just waiting until it passes and not do anything about it. So yes, you could wait if you have a cold until it passes. I do want to say that part of this mistake is not changing anything in your habits. Let me give you an example. If you are someone who sings every day for an hour, which is a lot, if you have a cold and you feel that your voice is a little bit inflamed, like your vocal cords has a little bit of inflammation on it because of the cold, the mistake here is just continuing to sing for that 1 hour a day without changing anything in your vocal routine. That would be the mistake, because then, yes, you're waiting for it to pass, but you're still singing on a voice that might be hoarse longer because you're not taking care of it. Does that make sense? So once you're aware of these mistakes, then you can do something about it. And that's where we're slowly transitioning into the world of the trained singer. And that's where we all want to end up. So the trained singer, they know those boundaries. They know I can go this far and then I need to rest. Or I can go this far and then I need to do this to take care of my voice. Now, the trained singer also really well knows exactly what to do to take care of their voice when it's in a bad shape. Also, the trained singer will find creative ways to sing anyway without damaging the voice even further, even if they're sick or something. So even if you're sick and you have a cold and you need to sing in front of an audience like tomorrow, there are creative ways in which you can take care of your voice to make that singing still healthy. So, as you know, the Sing Yourself to Freedom formula is based on 4 pillars. That's what we're always working from. The first pillar is the mindset pillar, finding that inner freedom and confidence. The second pillar is the vocal technique pillar. The third pillar is the creative pillar. And then we have the connection pillar. Today, we're really spending some time into that vocal technique pillar and spending time to get to know your voice even better and what you can do to take care of it, because you only have one voice. So we need to take care of it. It's not like a guitar or a keyboard that if it's broken, you can go and buy another one. We cannot do that with our voices. So it is so important to take care of it. So let's dive in. What can you do when you have a cold? Here are 5 tips to help you. So tip number 1 might seem very obvious. And very simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. Tip number 1 is vocal rest. I know that you know that. If you have a muscle that you have overworked, you need to rest and calm down. Same thing with the voice. Vocal rest is the best recovery that you can give your voice. Vocal rest in combination with, and that's tip number 2, SOVT exercises. I had vocal surgery because I had a genetic cyst on my voice. And after my surgery, normally in the past, they would say you need to be completely silent for 2 whole weeks. Now, they've noticed that being completely silent for 2 whole weeks will not actually help your voice because the muscles will stiffen up and the vibration between the 2 vocal cords will lose its intensity. So after my surgery, I had to be silent for 3 full days just so that the incisions could recover. But then pretty quickly after the surgery, I had to train my voice to start vibrating again. And that's where SOVT exercises are amazing. So if you have a cold and you feel that hoarseness, do some of those SOVT exercises to promote that vibration of the vocal cords, and that will help you to get the swelling down. Because yes, when you're cold or when you're hoarse, your vocal cords will swell up a little bit. And because they're swollen, they cannot close fully, and that's what makes it that hoarse sound. And so having those SOVT exercises will help you decrease that swelling. Now the question becomes, oh Maggie, I love that idea of SOVT exercises, but what are those? Good question. So an SOVT exercise is pretty simple. Basically, it's just making sounds with your voice that includes back pressure. Let me explain. I'm singing or I'm talking, so I have air coming from my lungs to the world, outside of my mouth, right? When I'm doing lip trills, or when I'm doing it on a v, or when I'm singing on a straw, there is still air coming from my mouth out. And then because my lips are trilling, or because I'm doing a v sound, or because I'm singing on a straw, there's a little bit of air coming back in. So you have air going out, air coming back in. And so these 2 streams of air, they meet each other, and my vocal cords are right in between there. And that's what gives them this beautiful massage that helps to get the swelling down. So exercises on a brr, singing on a straw, and I do recommend one. You can find it in the description here below. This is the one. Ooh, an amazing tool. Anyway, that's tip number 2. So first, vocal rest, and then tip number 2, combine that vocal rest with SOVT exercises. That brings us to tip number 3, which is hydrating the voice. This is so important. So many people think I need to drink a lot of water and that will hydrate my voice. That's partially true. It's definitely good to drink like 1.5 liters or 2 liter water a day. Know that it doesn't make sense to drink when you're singing. You actually need to drink the water beforehand because the water will not hit your vocal cords. Otherwise, we would be dead because the water will hit our lungs. The water goes through our esophagus into our stomach. And then from our stomach, it will hydrate the vocal cords. It's going through the whole of our body. And then from the inside, it will hydrate the vocal cords. So you do need to drink some water before you're going to sing. Water is amazing. Another way to hydrate your voice is steaming. So put some water and boil it, then put it in a little vase or something, or like a little recipient with a towel over your head. You can just hang above that recipient and inhale the steam. Some people want to put essential oils in there. I wouldn't recommend that because it dries it out as well. And we don't want to have any dryness. We want to hydrate. So steaming is a good one. Nebulizing is also a good one. The difference between nebulizing and steaming is done with water, with hot water that you inhale. And the droplets of the steam are pretty big. So not all the droplets will actually hit the cords. So the idea when you're drinking water, it hydrates from the inside. When you are steaming, it hydrates from the outside. Does that make sense? So nebulizing, the droplets are much smaller. I love the Vocal Mist nebulizer. And it's done with a 0.9% saline solution, which is the thing our chords are made up of. So that's the big difference between the two. Again, I could go in and do a whole episode about this, but this is what I would recommend: drinking water, steaming, nebulizing to hydrate the voice. All right, that brings us to tip number 4, which is also a pretty obvious one. But maybe, some beginner singers don't know. No whispering and no shouting. Whispering is actually even worse than shouting. We don't want to do that, because when we whisper, our vocal cords are not together anymore. They're actually vibrating like away from each other, and then you have air passing through, drying out the vocal cords. And again, we don't want to have dry cords, we want to have nice hydrated cords. So no whispering and definitely no shouting, because then the cords come too aggressively together, and we don't want to have that either. And then tip number 5, the most obvious one: if you do have to sing and you feel that your voice is not 100% healthy, please, please, please be mindful and use the vocal techniques that you have developed throughout your singing journey, because the vocal techniques really are kind of like a parachute that can help you in these tough times. So if you're someone who performs on a regular basis and it's an event that you just cannot cancel, if you need to use your voice when you have a cold, then be mindful and use those vocal techniques to help you overcome that little period of singing time. And I mean, it's the most important thing to master, those vocal techniques. These are like how can I say? So in a car, you have the airbag. The vocal techniques when singing is the airbag. It protects you from things. It protects you from straining your voice. It protects you from crossing that boundary and feeling even more hoarseness. So use your vocal technique. So I have a training on the most important vocal technique to master, to really sing high notes without any tension and make your vocal color beautiful. And that free training, you can sign up for it. I will link to it in the description here below. That would be the first step to start. If you really want to master vocal technique, I would really, really encourage you to start with that one vocal technique in that training. So let me recap. 1, vocal rest. 2, use SOVT exercises. 3, hydrate the voice. 4, no screaming or no whispering. And 5, use the right vocal techniques. If you don't know where to start with my free training. I'll link to it in the description here below so that you can get started. So again, thank you for having been here this week, and I can't wait to see you again next week. Bye.